Hey everybody, it's Rob here with Vessel of Hatred releasing in just a few weeks. The Paragon level will rise to 300 and we have been testing out on the PTR and checking how much XP is required and how long would it roughly take to reach this final Paragon of 300. And I have a lot of data to share here with you. There's also going to be a sheet that I'm going to link below, and it's some very interesting stuff because the Paragon level is becoming account wide. That means no matter which class you start with, let's say you want to test out the new Spiritborn, you can play the new Spiritborn. Let's say you play it up to Paragon level 120, and then if you decide to make a Barbarian right after, you still can, and you're going to carry these 120 Paragons onto your Barbarian or onto your new character. So it's going to be account wide, similar to the way it worked in Diablo 3. And we basically checked here the entire progression. So starting at Paragon level 1, obviously you get 1 point per Paragon, and at 300 you have, I think with the Renown, like 330 Paragon points to basically spend in your planners here. But it basically starts off, you can see the XP curve here, it starts off very low at just a couple of 100,000 XP required, and then it ramps up very slowly. And I feel the first levels in particular are gonna be very fast. Like the first, so 1 to 60 takes about 2.5, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours if you're a bit more on the slow side of things. And then I think the first 100 Paragons are gonna fly by. I think people will reach this like in about 10 hours or so. Basically just like leveling a character to Paragon level 100 right now. It's only gonna take like a double-digit hours, like maybe 10 hours if you're fast, and maybe like 15, 20 hours if you're going really slow. But the experience here goes up like very slowly at the first levels. And there's also kind of different activities that I've been comparing here in several of my sheets. And I've summarized it all here in this sheet, but basically there's like different activities to farm or to get Paragons. It's like pits, you can do Nightmare Dungeons, you can Hell Tides. And there's also 2 new activities coming, so there might even be other options. But by far the best activity to farm experience was the pit on this test server. We're also going to be talking about that here in a second, and which tier to run on the pits to farm. But basically what it looks like, Paragon level 100 is only a total of 0.5, so like half a percentage point of the total XP you need to reach a Paragon 300. And for me, I think in the final version, like we've reached like something like you can see it here, like Paragon 258. I think I reached like 260 something basically on the PTR. We have the data here, so I reached like 263. I have the last screenshot, but then there's been through calculation and through some help of some friends, I was able to find out all the experience numbers, and we were able to double confirm this with various sources. So what you see here is, as of PTR, is current. Now, things might still change, but I don't really think so. There's so much class balance stuff to do. I think the Paragon scaling was actually in a pretty decent slot already, so I doubt these numbers will change. So again, 0.5% experience is the total amount it takes to 100 in comparison to 300. And then the experience rises a lot here, like as you see, like you hit 100, and here it like really slowly like starts to go up. Like, so you need 2.5 million. And then it like goes up by like about 2% until it goes down again at 200. And then after 200, and 200 is about 3.5% of the way there. So 0.5% until 100, then another 3% until 200. And then the lion's share of the experience required for 300 is happening at the last levels. You might remember this scaling from Diablo 2, and it reminds me of that system a lot as well, where you basically have very like little reward for very long time invested basically on those last levels, especially with the new 5 Paragon board cap. You can see it like very strong, that you are like basically forced to take like some like not so useful additive nodes. But I think it actually strikes a good balance where you don't really have to grind this Paragon if you don't want to, because it's only giving you like a minimal power increase. And for those people that still want to grind Paragon, they still can, and they still get something out of it. So this reminds me a lot of the 98 to 99 grind in Diablo 2, where it's really just like optional and just like a challenge to go to 99, but not really required to quote unquote finish your character, or you know, like to beat the hardest content in the game. And I think it's going to be very similar here, and the only thing that makes it possible is this 5 Paragon board cap. If we didn't have the cap, now I personally don't like caps, but I think especially for like a more casual audience, this is very good, because else people that just grind to Paragon 300, they will just fly away in terms of power level, especially with these new glyphs, if they can just like, you know, equip multiple of those new glyphs and just go for like, you know, 10 Paragon boards and basically fill them all out and get 10 glyphs in, because that would work with the new system. It might feel very limiting for some of you, and I definitely agree with that as well. I think 6 would have been a more sweeter number, but again, for the very casual audience that Diablo 4 simply has a lot of, I think it's a good thing that the Paragon is capped, because else the power creep would just get out of hand. But you can see here the scaling really picking up very fast after Paragon 200. You might have noticed it on the PTR. It's very easy to get to 200, but then it gets progressively out, and you can see kind of like how the scaling goes up here at 203 Paragon, so it's 15 million XP per level at 200, but then it goes up by 3% and rising. Every level it's rising, and it keeps rising basically until, like, you know, the XP goes like easily in the hundreds of millions, and you see here at 240 around here, it's falling again, like at least the percent XP increase per level. So up until here, it goes like 5% more XP multiplicative. Every level requires more and more and more. So you need the previous level plus another like 4.7%, then the previous level again plus another 4.7%. And this is really like some crazy exponential scaling at some point. And that's why for some reason here at 247, and we were able to like fully confirm this with screenshots here, it actually goes down again per level. So you still need more XP, but the multiplier, like you don't need 4.71, you only need 4.7, 4.69, and so on and so on. But yeah, long story short, guys, in the very end here, it seems that the Paragon scaling, like the last level, requires 1 billion XP. You need 1 billion XP. On the highest level that I've reached, we only needed 219 million. So level 299 to 300 is 5 times of what level 263 is per level. And then you could also say, you know, you could farm 1 to 100, like you could make 20 characters and get them all to 100 before you get 1 character to 300. So the scaling is pretty substantial. Like you need a lot more XP per level. In fact, I think a single level in the end here, you can see here like one single level is 1 billion XP. So every level you basically have to level a new character from 1 to 100, but 10 times. So yeah, it goes pretty wild here in the end. And sorry, I didn't say 20, I meant 200 times. So basically just one level, 299 to 300, basically takes 10 times as long as leveling one character to just 100. So yeah, the scaling goes pretty crazy. And if you like were to calculate this scaling even further, and you would see going like down and down and down, that the final, like, I don't know how many paragons there will be, but I heard there's like about 1,000 paragons in this data set, that you basically gonna reach billions and trillions of XP required. We'll see. This is probably gonna be multiple expansions down the line, and this is not even confirmed or anything. Like, we'll see if they will increase, you know, the max level every expansion. But historically, I think Diablo games and also other Blizzard games basically increase like the max level every expansion. Like you see now, we go up from 50 to 60 basically, and it looks like we're gonna go maybe to 70 in the next expansion, and hopefully we get a paladin. We'll see. So let's talk some numbers here. Again, we've tested a bunch and a bunch of different XP metas, and also basically checked which activity gives the most experience. And by far the best, again in the current game, was doing pit runs. And you want to do low pit runs at very high frequency. I'm talking like 1 minute runs or something. So you can see here, this was one of my benchmarks that I did. And obviously, like, the top contenders here are the Lightning Spear Sorcerer and the God Demon Hunter, the Whirlwind Spin to Win Rogue. And you can see here like how fast we're basically grinding through these levels. Like, this is basically like just a complete speedrun on the Sorc. We're gonna be split farming in groups, and there's not really an incentive, you know, to play like very hard pit content. It's just not worth it, because it seems like that the XP per tier only goes up by roughly 1%. So You know, you go from 80 to 85, it only gives you 5% more XP. And then you go from 85 to 90, it gives you another 5% more XP. While the monster HP seems to be scaling at around 20%. So the HP, the life of the monsters will double, while the experience will only go up by 5%. And that's some seriously wrong scaling, where you basically are forced, just like in other Diablo games, like in Diablo 3, you guys might remember the red runs, where you're basically just forced to play a very low level that is not really challenging for your character, and just at very, very high speeds. You see here, like, we are trying to basically speedrun these under 90 seconds. Like, ideally, you want to be like 1 minute for the run. You see here, we spawn the boss about 65 seconds in. And then we basically are killing these bosses also in just one stagger. Like, you want to have something like this where you just like basically completely melt this. And you see here, this was like a, I don't know, like a 75-second run or something. And like most of those runs are like that. And then you also got to include the taunt time. And we basically did, I think it was 17 runs here in about 30 minutes in some of these benchmarks here. And that basically gives us, in the end, I'm going to have this videos linked in the sheet. It basically gives us around 400 million experience per hour. This would mean that the last level takes about 2.5–3 hours if you're a bit on the slower side. So just from 299 to 300 will take about 3 full hours of playing. And obviously, like, if you play the entire way at like full efficiency, again, you will not have that from the start. You will not have like a full lightning spear, giga blast sork, or like a full spin to win rogue from the very start. Like, you need to, you know, level up slowly, get the gear, get the mythic uniques and stuff. It's gonna take some time. So this is obviously a complete theoretical number. I try to basically put like some realistic times here that I'm kind of expecting for launch, and I think it's gonna take the top players about 100 hours to reach Paragon 300 if this is what they are focused on. So 1 to 60 you saw like about 2.5 hours maybe if you're playing somewhat efficient. This can also be done as a solo player. 1 to 100 I expect 10 hours, and here the Paragon grind is significantly more efficient in group, because you notice here this is like, for example, the spin to win rogue. This is like the top 2 builds, lightning spear sork, spin to win rogue. Both planners are going to be in the description. This is like you know, like a super like speed farm meta, where you basically just move and kill everything as you move. So this is like the new Dance of Knife rogues, and like these kind of builds are definitely feel to be the strongest. And even if you were doing this like on slightly lower tiers, it wouldn't really matter too much, because like you could do the same thing here. Let's say you have 10 times less damage, you do the same thing on like, you know, tier 70 or something if you have 5 times less damage, and you'll be just fine. Like, you'll basically just fly through the same way, because you just get 5 or 10% less XP, but you're still gonna get like the same kill speed. So keep that in mind. You just want to play low tiers, and maybe this will change again, but this is how it was on the PTR, and that's what we're reporting on. And then there might be some crazy speed farm build on the Spiritborn as well that's gonna like completely shadow all these experience numbers. And there might also be the Dark Citadel and the Kuas Anna City, which might reward even more XP per hour than what we've seen here. But yeah, my estimation is the top players will take about 100 hours to reach Paragon level 300. However, this is not really something I think that most people should focus on, because like I mentioned, with the 5 Paragon board cap, you're not really like have a huge incentive to go like, let's say, beyond 220. I think like most boards will be complete about Paragon 200, maybe 225 or something. And this is gonna be, you know, like very fast. I think this is gonna be like, I don't know, like 30 hours for blasters, and maybe like 50 hours for most people to reach Paragon 200 and kind of like finish your character. So you don't have to worry about this too much. Again, 3% of the XP is required to go to 200. And by that time, you basically have your boards fleshed out. You might be missing some, you know, of these additive nodes, but it's not really a big deal, because you have so much additive damage already, and that it's going to be completely fine. As long as you have your glyphs, you have your multipliers, and you have, you know, the strong like legendary multipliers, you're gonna be just fine. So yeah, the XP is pretty crazy. We will see what's gonna happen with the new endgame activities. I'll probably keep updating the sheet. Again, you can find it in the description below. And I did some calculations here. There was also some more like funny calculations, like how it would look. One last thing that I wanted to showcase here is like the pit tier and the closing XP. I tracked this here, and you see here how basically every pit level only gives you like 1% more XP. And yeah, if you were to calculate, you know, like how long it would take you to reach Paragon 1000. Again, it's not in the game, 300 is the max. But yeah, if this scaling would continue and there would be additional Paragon boards coming at some point, man, you would be in for quite a long shot. But until that point, we're getting more and more power creep. Anyways, like we're getting the runes now, and we're getting the mercenaries, and we're probably getting more and more power creep, even with the number squishes. And let's say even if this scaling would continue, something like this, like, yeah, the XP is crazy, but this is probably years and years down the line. I really like that there is no infinite Paragon system. I know might be a bit unpopular opinion, but if you can just indefinitely grind for more power like you could in Diablo 3, especially with the way the Paragon worked in Diablo 3, where you get like a multiplicative main stat every time. I mean, yeah, you might still get main stat here, but like, you know, at some point you might, if there was more Paragons and still a 5 board gap, you would just take 5 intelligence, 5 intelligence, 5 intelligence, like wherever you could. Like, we are not quite there yet with these 5 boards. It's only in this new eliminator or headhunter or challenger on the barb multiplying glyph that it's gonna go this crazy. But yeah, there's also a lot of cool stuff that I think is gonna come out to light on the Spiritborn, and we also have the entire Paragon boards updated here, and the data sets here updated. You can just select Spiritborn and you can basically you know, start cooking and looking at these new Spiritborn boards here that basically are in the data, and you can check out like all the new craziness that these builds here have to offer, such as like some of the new Uber Uniques and some of the crazy stuff here that may or may not be happening here for Vessel of Hatred in just a few weeks. And again, Spiritborn might even top, you know, the Lightning Spear Sorcerers and the Spin to Win Rogues. Who knows? I think Spiritborn is a very fast-paced class, and I can't wait to share more planners here and more cooking, and also see how fast we can go to Paragon 300 and just go into all the new endgame. I'm super excited about it. Hope you enjoyed, my friends. Take it easy. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.